Sup, girl? February 15th, 2025, I guess. Welcome back to Dungeon Monitors. Damn, did anyone see the Super Bowl? I watched the halftime show. That was really something. Couldn't agree more. They are not like us. Okay, anyway, guys. Episode 4. This is our ABCs, a glimpse into a BDSM glossary. Get ready, get excited to be educated. The list is much longer than this. Trust, the glossary is a lot more vast, but here are the basics from my POV, my explanation, my flexible translation of what these mean to me. We're going to keep this short and sweet because your big back ass has a short attention span, and so do I. However, that's nor here or there. For a more extended version, come see me later. Okay, pupils. Let's learn our ABCs all over again. A is for aftercare. Aftercare is fucking crucial. During a session, one's body and mind limits are tested and pushed. So, again, this is important because when your limits are pushed, it creates disorientation. It can be potentially internally stressful, and it definitely will create an imbalance after a session or play or whatever you want to call it. A form of aftercare, nurturing techniques, they should be provided to prevent the sub drop. That's what you don't want to do. You do not want to get into the sub drop. We'll get a little deeper into the sub drop at another point in time, but aftercare will alleviate future issues mentally, emotionally, physically, because this can be a great strain, something you're not used to, of course, being these more kinky scenarios. Depending on the intensity of the scene, aftercare can be minimal, but no matter what, guys, I say this all the time, no matter what takes place, every day, wake up, every day, aftercare before, whatever, I highly encourage you to drink water before. That's on you. That's not on the person. That's a part of the scene. That's very much on you. Water is essential with any activity, especially BDSM activities. They're a little bit more wild. Mentally, of course, emotionally, it just pushes your limits. And part of aftercare on you, on your behalf, you need to do it to nourish your soul afterwards, period. That is it. And I repeat, aftercare is fucking crucial. Look into it. Okay, now we're going to move on to the letter B. B is for BDSM, a great acronym. Bondage, discipline, dominance, submission, sadism, masochism. Oh my. B, typically for bondage. D, discipline, B and D or BD. D can also be for dominance. S, submission. D and S, dominance and submission, typically the D's. Sadism and masochism, S and M. Ooh. B is also for bondage. Bondage, acts involving a person being physically restrained by tying or binding by rope, tape, handcuffs. The list goes on. There are a lot of other options, different tools for restraints. Total body restraint is an option. There's mummification. That's total body restraint, essentially, mummification. That's a very fun and interesting one. But can be limited to a particular body part or parts. So it can just be one body part or multiple or the entirety of it. There are so many forms of bondage. Bondage is extensive and fun. And you don't have to be extreme. It doesn't have to be extreme bondage. Pace yourself, people. Here and there, talk to one another, communicate. Again, limitations, so on and so forth. Okay, B is also for bottom. Ooh, the receiver, and not the NFL term, okay? The bottom is a person receiving physical sensation from a top dominant. There are also power bottoms, guys. I'm a power bottom. Don't believe me, just watch. I'm also a top. To be so versatile. Anyways, B is also for breath control play. Ooh. Oxygen restriction, me sitting on your face. Those that practice with others this breath control play we speak of, you have to understand the risks you are taking. Extremists, novice, whatever level you believe yourself to be, Regardless, you are never to do this alone. Some people do this with rope, if you know what I mean. And again, I don't give a fuck how experienced you are or think you are. This can be playful, yet potentially life-threatening. Breath control play could be something so silly and super hot, especially if you're being drowned or suffocated in ass, titties, taint, you name it, whatever, balls, in between, it could be hot, but there's definitely different ways to do it. And if you're doing the more typical and hiding in private route, don't do it alone because it can be very lethal, life-threatening. Heed my words. C is for see you next Tuesday. C is for chastity. Love being a key holder. Ooh, love enforcing chastity. Locked up your genitals. It's a practice of self-control or being controlled. It's in control, period, by yourself, a dom, a partner, whoever. Orgasm denial, denying the opportunity of masturbation, preventing access to or stimulation of the genitals, like we just said a moment ago. I prefer physical chastity, literally being in chastity, literally being locked up versus the mental approach. I mean, even if you're locked up physically, it helps with the mental, but there are times that people practice chastity. I'll be able to do it by myself on my own. I'm strong mentally. No. Lock it the fuck up. Lock it up. Lock it down. No. Chastity devices keeps the subject honest. Don't worry, you can pee, guys. And chastity devices are not just for the meat and potatoes. They can also be used on lady bits. But anyway, I prefer metal to plastic for sanitary reasons. Locktober is around the corner, and so is No Nut November, so hit me up. I have a lot of keys, guys. Every time people hear me walk, I sound like a fucking janitor. I got you. C is also for CBT, cock and ball torture. That is exactly what the fuck it sounds like, cock and ball torture, CBT. That's period. C is also for collared, owned. You may receive an actual physical collar, choker, necklace, something symbolic to being owned. The symbolism and the awareness of having that on you is just a reminder, and it's very tickling for those who are owned. C is also for collaring, dominant master accepting a sub as theirs, ownership pretty much. There's also C for contra-polar stimulation, pain for pleasure, pleasure with pain, pleasure and pain. I like to be dressed as Pinhead from Hellraiser and say that, but his version, of course, your pain is our pleasure, truly. C is also for consent, to give permission, to permit, to agree, allow, without force and or threat. Consent is mandatory, guys. It's the only way you can move forward. No means no. No is a fucking complete sentence. No does not mean yes. Okay, C is also for contract. In BDSM, a verbal or written binding agreement establishing rules, roles, regulations, and expectations. All contracts are different. Now we're on D. D is for dominance and discipline. Also, dom, domina. A dominant person. My, how the times changed. Dom was used in the past in reference to more specifically a male dominant, but dom, like D-O-M-M-E, is typically more femme and was and still is referred to as a female dominant, distinguishing the two. Me, personally, I'm very flexible. Master, mistress, dom, domina, D-O-M-M-E, femme, mask, whatever. I can be Hades, the god of underworld, or I can very easily be Persephone, the queen of the springtime, which makes me lean into the word dominant, or the D's of our ABCs. Dominant, dom, D, 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 one who exercises control, which is very much me. D is also for dominatrix. Yes, queen, a dominant woman that practices BDSM. D is also for dom space. Ooh, the dom space. Let me just say, it's all in the eyes. It's the engulfing state of mind a dom enters during a BDSM activity. And wow, it's literally you are drowning in just this great dream state. And there's a subspace, and it's very similar, just different ends of the spectrum, like the sub version versus the dom version. But they're both amazing, engulfing state of minds. D is also for dungeon. In a, BDSM is known as like a sanctuary or play space. Then there's dungeon monitors. We've been through this a million times, as this is what the podcast is called. A dungeon monitor, or DM, that's the acronym. Super dope person. Yours truly. Usually an active member of the community who supervises the interactions between participants at a dungeon, play party, play space, and or BDSM events. Always enforcing the house rules, acts as if almost a referee, but the one that you don't fucking hate, who's blind or lies, and or a bouncer of sorts. These participants can be any role, which means they can be verse, switch, dom, sub. No matter their role, though, there is no active service in this arena that is below them. This is true. E is for edge play, extremist play. Yeah, take you to the edge, involving a risk of harm, mentally, physically, or emotionally, because you get so close, but it can definitely be dangerous. You get so close, you're almost there, nope. Enema play. Okay, guys, humiliation and or for physical discomfort. It is fucking humiliating, though. If you don't know what an enema is, the thing that gets, put up in there and blows a whole bunch of liquids in there. I don't know what to tell you. If you don't know what enema is, I don't know what to tell you. Some advice: do an enema beforehand, before enema play, because just do it. Maybe not right before, just do it. Yeah, you're welcome for that anyway. F is for femdom, exquisite female dominant. Love it. Fetish, a strong fixation, delight, desire, or an unusual obsession of something. Financial domination. Fuck you, pay me. A fetish of dominance and submission, where of submissive, fin sub, human ATM, pay pig, money slave, cash piggy. There's at least 1,000 more terms. Give gifts and money, to a financial dominant. Fin dom is a financial dominant. Money mistress, master, fin dom, money dom, cash master, cash mistress. Pretty dope on the receiving end. Yeah. Guys, pay pigs, human ATMs, BM, which is blackmail. Financial domination has a sizable list of it's extensive. I could go on for hours. And if you got the money, honey, I got the time. But anyway, something important for you all to know is that financial domination is omnipresent, whether you're with it or against it. Let that sink in. It is omnipresent. Think about that. Now we're on G. G is for golden showers. Someone pissing on you, but you already knew that. There's also G for good pain. Good pain is a pain permitted and enjoyed, found pleasurable by the recipient. Love some good pain. H is for hard limits. Those are more so non-negotiable limits. Oof, hard no. H is also for humiliation, the degrading feeling of being ashamed, embarrassed, or exposed. I can definitely show you better than I can tell you, but I am very skilled at verbal humiliation, in case you're wondering. H is also for hydration. Stay hydrated, my friends. Very important. I is for impact play, part of a sensation play, dealing with impacts such as those from whips, riding crops, paddles, floggers, etc. Love doing that. K is for kinky. Are you kidding me? You know what kinky means, but how does someone like me, a kinkster, explain to the common man what kinky is? I'll just say different, fun, definitely, probably eats ass. I have a more in-depth definition. Maybe I'll tell you later if you're lucky. L is for limits or limitation. Limits, layers of levels you may or may not extend, participate in, or pass. everyone. Communicate. Establish your limitations. Make sure of it. This dialogue is important. M is for masochism. The most simplified definition is receiving pleasure from humiliation or pain. Masochist, person that enjoys pain, finding it pleasurable. Master, owner of a sub-slave, literally me. Long story short. P, let's jump to P. P is for pain slut. Your mom. Just kidding. Maybe not. A person that loves receiving pain. Pegging. Whew. Something all hetero cis males pretend like they don't enjoy. What is it? Mind-blowing, different, life-changing. So turn around, bend over, and shut the fuck up. P is also for play party, fun BDSM events, as long as you don't invite sociopaths. Pony play. Pink pony club. No, pony play is like a cosplay, role play. That's another one that I can talk to you about privately. And fuck everybody who immediately goes to some weird sexual shit. It's not a party like that. It's more like, you're getting on top of somebody and riding them like a pony. So fuck off. Get your mind out of the gutter. P is for pro-dom, professional dominant. There's a price. A lot of P's. Jumping to R. R is for RACK. RACK, acronym for risk-aware consensual kink. S is for sadist or sadism, a person that finds pleasure from inflicting pain. Safe, sane, and consensual, SSC. That's also under our S's here today. Making certain everything is based on safe activities, that all participants are of sufficiently sound mind to consent, and that all participants do consent. Safe word. A keyword. Established before an activity begins. Used to stop all that's taking place immediately. Don't be afraid to use a safe word, guys. Don't be a pussy. S is for scene, the setting and participation of a BDSM activities. S is for slave. In BDSM, this is a person who submits consensually, giving up total control of one or more aspects of their life to another, to me. S is for soft limits you are apprehensive about. Understandably so. S is for spankings. Okay, guys. You know what that is. S is for sub-drop. Okay, ailments experienced by a submissive after BDSM play or a session or during, especially when aftercare was not provided. This is not good. You do not want to be in the sub-drop. S is for submissive, a person in a subservient role that submits to a dominant. S is for subspace. Subspace, much like the dom space we talked about earlier, is a euphoric state of mind, a high. It's very intoxicating. It's a very, very deep mental escape subs experience in a BDSM acts, or during BDSM acts, excuse me. S is also for switch, a person that can alternate between dominant and submissive roles. T is for TIH, which is taken in hand. So typically it's a 24/7 male-dominated husband, father figure, household, whatever. Usually, I don't typically agree with this practice and the use of this phrase. It is also practiced in female-led relationships, but typically it typically is for a male-dominated household. So there you have it. T is also for top, the giver, and not necessarily in the kind of generous way we immediately associate with when we hear the word giver. This is the person typically giving, performing, penetrating the action. They're in charge. T is also for TPE. Yeah, total power exchange. Surrender all rights, giving complete control to the dominant or owner, making you my property. T is also for training, teachings, if you will. Everyone has their own different style and structure. I love to teach personally, and I love to train. V is for vagina, and that's what the fuck you are. Just kidding. V is for vanilla. Vanilla is like the pumpkin spice latte lifestyle, basic, meh. People in conventional, boring. Some may say normal, whatever the fuck that actually means. Zero interest typically or experience in any alternative or out of the ordinary, out of the box, anything. They're pretty much part of the cattle. But that doesn't mean they can't be taught. V is for verse. Me, to a degree, minimally. But seriously, a shapeshifter, versatile, multi-talented, like a switch in a way. I'm going to jump backwards to the training comment I just made. I do love a self-sufficient or a domesticated pet. Just note that. W is for warm-up, gentle and light play in the beginning of a BDSM scene, preparing the slave, bottom, whoever, to be placed in the subspace mindset, like a good stretch before a vigorous workout. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Dungeon Monitors. For a more extensive, thorough, ostentatious audio list, just ask. You know where to find me. This episode 4, was more like a Cliff Note, BDSM glossary, terminology, thingamabob, and I hope you liked it. I know you liked it. Say you like it. Click, like, submit, subscribe, bow, obey, worship. See you in 2 weeks. You are so very welcome. Mwah.